Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to Women's AM. This morning I'm joined by Ayan and Naima on Skype to discuss the Iddah or waiting period. Assalamu alaikum, Sister Naima. Sister Naima, Assalamu alaikum, can you hear me?
Walaikum salam wa rahmatullah. I can hear you fine.
Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. Welcome back to the show. I'm going to come to you. This is something that we've kind of touched upon before the break, but there is still quite a prevalent belief that under no circumstances can a woman leave her home during this Iddah or waiting period. Is this true?
No, actually, it's not true. And alhamdulillah, the proof of it is actually in the actions of the Sahaba. There are quite a few narrations of women in their iddah periods, both from divorce and from losing a spouse, leaving their home to, for example, one of them is harvesting dates. So she was out harvesting dates. And also there's a lovely hadith that I really, mashallah, when I found it, I was so happy. It basically is some of the women during after the Battle of Uhud, several of them were widowed, and they came to the Prophet ﷺ and they said to him that, you know, can we gather at the house of one of us because we feel lonely? Can we gather and, you know, sort of sit together and enjoy time together and maybe stay together, you know, instead of going back to our homes? He said, there is no problem with you going out and visiting each other, but each of you should sleep in her own house. SubhanAllah. So, you know, this is something that it's an authentic hadith and it's something that's known, mashallah. And if you go on myiddah.com, I actually made a point of putting up a post about misconceptions about the iddah, because in certain cultures, you can't wash, you can't comb your hair, you know, you shouldn't walk barefoot, you know, you should wear black. You know, even in Egypt, actually, there's certain foods you're not allowed to eat. You can't eat mahshi, or you can't eat meat because you're supposed to be in this extreme state of mourning. And that's not Islamic, because that's not mentioned anywhere in any of the guidance about iddah. That idea of extreme sadness and depression is not mentioned at all. It's merely a waiting period. It's merely a pause, a time for reflection, like I said, just to take your aim. There's nothing about, you know, except for the adornment and sort of socializing. But as for like not eating and not washing and things like that, those have got nothing to do with the iddah of Islam, alhamdulillah.
Yeah, alhamdulillah.
I think it kind of goes against what Islam teaches us when people, you know, practice these things, these cultural things, is that, you know, we're always taught that we should be hopeful in Allah and that we shouldn't despair. And I think when you go to that extreme, you're going against that teaching. But also to kind of go back to what Sister Naima was saying about the hadith that was narrated about the woman who collected dates. It was it was a report narrated by Jabir, who said, my maternal aunt was divorced thrice and she went out to harvest her palm trees, and a man met her and said, you shouldn't be doing that. So she went back to the Prophet ﷺ and she says, this is what I've been told. And the Prophet ﷺ says, no, go out and harvest your palm trees. Perhaps you'll give some of it in charity and do some good. So it just shows that, yes, you can go out to work. Yes, you can go and do things that are necessary. And then, inshallah, those things will help you gain reward from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as well. So to say that, you know, you can't go out at all is completely erroneous.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, some beautiful narrations that have been mentioned by both you and Sister Naima. And again, it demonstrates the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and how we're supposed to kind of look at this time and look at this, you know, this particular time in our life. Sister Naima, I'm going to come back to you again. Again, we've talked about the support that we need, you know, when we're going through a loss. And the hadith that you've just mentioned kind of depicts this beautifully. But what exactly can family and friends do, you know, for a kind of widow during this time? I think sometimes you feel like you want to help, but you don't know, you don't want to get in the way and you don't know how best to do so.
I think, mashallah, we just got a wonderful article about this, which I shall post up right after this interview, inshallah, about how to support a widow. And one of them is to listen. And just to be there and listen to what she needs and what she wants and what she doesn't want. Practical help is always appreciated, bringing food, taking the kids out, giving her space, but also not leaving her out of things. Because I think a lot of widows, even out of the iddah period, when you're single or newly single, there is this sense that you don't belong anywhere. And certainly I can say from my own experience, this sense of, it's like you don't know your place in the world. You know, you've been maybe married for however many years, you know, you've always been part of this nuclear family or this extended family, and all of a sudden you're a single woman, you know, with a single mum. And you know how single mums struggle in our communities. A widow is a single mum. You know, so to include her, make sure you don't leave her out of invitations. If she accepts it, alhamdulillah, If she says, no, I'd rather not come out, I'm talking post-idda now. If she says she'd rather not, fine, but keep in touch. We have text, we have email, we have phones, we have Facebook. We have people who can visit. Go and sit with her, go and do something in the house. That sense of being in the home and people coming to see me, it really was a lifesaver. Sometimes people would say, I'm coming to see you, and I'd say, I don't want to see anyone. Yeah. And they would come anyway. But not everyone likes that. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made it so that when that person came, it was just what I needed. I needed to get something out of my system, or I needed to talk about something, or I needed just to listen to someone talking about something completely random, just to get my mind off things. The company of my sisters and the du'as and the support online, it buoyed me up. It just kept me away from the depression. It kept me away from the extreme grief. It kept me away from the asking why. Alhamdulillah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, like you were saying, I just want to make this point about the way that we perceive grief. This is a test like any other test. You can pass it or you can fail it. And when you have iman and you know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not burden a soul more than it can bear, when you know that after the hardship comes ease, when you know that Allah will pull you through it, it makes you strong. And you know you can deal with it. So alhamdulillah, as you know in positive psychology, when you know you can deal with something, when you believe you can deal with something, chances are you will do a pretty good job of it. If you take it as this burden that I will never be able to, I can't accept this, I will never be able to move forward, then you're putting yourself in the wrong mindset. And subhanAllah, with many people I've heard, they have this mindset that my life is over. There is nothing more for me. And I think that that's a very, very sad mindset. And I wish I could reach out to all the sisters out there to say, no, Allah left you here for a reason. He left you here for a reason because He knows that you can handle this. He tries those He loves, and He will not give you a test other than what you can bear. So don't lose hope in His mercy. I would really like to send that message to all my sisters out there who are going through any kind of trial. Know that if Allah decreed this thing for you, you can handle it and He will help you.
Absolutely. Excuse me, Jazakallah khair, sister. A really kind of impassioned answer there from Sister Naima, and I think a reminder for us all about how we can, do more, and how we can be mindful, and how we can help, and also to accept the qadr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I think sometimes when we're trying to accept this qadr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, one of the best ways is to, look back at the examples of the Sahabas, the Sahabiyat, and how can we learn from their experiences and what they've done. So can you tell us a little bit about, some of these lessons?
Absolutely. We have one of the wives of the Prophet ﷺ, who was Salama, and prior to marrying the Prophet ﷺ, she was married to Abu Salama, and they really absolutely loved each other. If you read about them, you can see the love that there was between them. And when he passed away, she remembered a hadith her husband had said before he passed away, where he said, whoever meets a misfortune should resort to what God has ordered in such cases, saying we all belong to God and to Him we all return. And my Lord, grant me support in my misfortune and compensate me with something better. So after he passed away, she remembered that he narrated this, that he'd heard it from the Prophet ﷺ. So she did just that. So when her husband passed away, she said that she made this dua, and then and she frequently said it, and the wonderful thing was, after her husband had passed away, she was going through this, she'd gone through the mourning period. She'd got proposals from Abu Bakr Siddiq and Umar bin al-Khattab, but she refused them. She didn't want to get married to them. And then the Prophet ﷺ came and proposed to her, and she refused him twice. And then the third time, she explained why she refused him, and she said, look, I've got a really bad temper, and I'm scared of being rude to you and losing out on Allah's reward. Also, I'm old, and then thirdly, which was the biggest reason for her, was, I've got all these kids, I couldn't possibly remarry. And the Prophet ﷺ answered her with, about your temper, I will make dua to Allah to even out your temper. On the issue of your age, I am also old. And for the third reason, he says, that is exactly why I want to marry you, because you do have children. Wow. And then because of that, she accepted the Prophet ﷺ's offer. And mashallah, she did get something better. So Allah has compensated her with something better after the death of her husband. So it just goes to show that we should always be hopeful of what Allah has put in place for us in our lives, that something better will come along, inshallah. And if not in this life, then in the next life.
Yeah, absolutely. A beautiful story there. Jazakallah khair for sharing that. Really beautiful. Sister Naima, finally to you very quickly. Have you got any particular lessons that you looked at from the Sahabas or the Sahabiyat to kind of help you through this period?
No, mashallah, just the one that the sister mentioned, alhamdulillah, is a really heartwarming story. Really, really is beautiful. And subhanallah, we know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants good for us. And we know that He will put us in situations that are ripe for reward. The question is, will we take those situations? Will we behave in the right way? Will we see them in the right way? Will we turn to Him? So, alhamdulillah, obviously there was a lot of widowhood going on during the time of the companions, subhanAllah. And I think that you just see this sense of tawakkul and this sense of acceptance of the qadr. And this, like you said, this optimism and this hope in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's mercy. And I think that that's something really, really important. Yeah. And obviously we want to be a community that accepts that people will go through trials, that they will go through tests. Because I've heard in other communities that being a widow is this huge stigma and it's a big taboo and people avoid you and they think you bring bad luck and all this type of thing. And alhamdulillah, there's no room for that amongst the Muslims. There's no room for that within Islam. So we want to be a community where you go through a test, we're here for you, we're here to support you, rather than you go through a test, you keep your test away from me. I don't want to have anything to do with that test. And really I think for everyone, they all can play a part in helping anyone going through any type of test, whether it's iddah of divorce or widowhood. They can be there for support and they will get the reward from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bi'idhnillah.
Absolutely, absolutely. Some fantastic reminders there from Sister Naima and from Ayaan, and certainly, a difficult time, but lots of, hopefully, inspiration to help get you through that, inshallah. Undoubtedly, the passing of a spouse is a sad and tragic event for any Muslim to go through. But whatever the circumstances around it, as Muslims, we should be prepared for any major life event so that we, inshallah, can minimise the feelings of grief. Such an event should be a reminder that despite our love for our spouses, we ultimately did not truly belong to us. We all belong to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and to Him we will return. We've had some great insights and advice from our panel this morning, but if you've missed any of today's show, all is not lost. You can catch the highlights from all this week on Sunday at 3 p.m. And why not catch up on YouTube? Here are the details.